14 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, because he was a whistleblower. He was the whistleblower. Um, uh, he's pulling down the whole thing. He's pulling down the whole thing. Um, and they this was a rogue and unauthorized operation to take him out of his room, to take him downstairs to the basement room, to take his life, to steal his body then, so that they could traffic it to Juarez, Mexico, over the international border into another country for disposal. And there was so many breaches in security and so many institutions and agencies that were infiltrated by cartel operatives. And those cartel operatives are not only infiltrated in the American agencies and institutions, but also in the Chihuahuan institutions, and I would say the Mexican institutions, but in this case, the Chihuahuan institutions and agencies. And we're getting, the receipts are just pouring in because of what's going on right now in Chihuahua, Mexico, with the fentanyl governor, the El Chapo fentanyl governor, I call her Maru Campos. Um, so, and she's, they're calling it treason, y'all. They're calling it treason and they're moving it forward. They're very serious. Her administration is absolutely coming apart, and also they're fleeing to El Paso. Um, and more people are being interviewed. And in this case, with the CIA agents that were double agents that were on her payroll, that had office space in her intelligence building, that were carrying M4s that are illegal to carry uh, in Mexico and also in the United States. So I'm told you're not allowed to carry M4s, okay, because that is a military grade weapon. That is full automatic weapon that Fort Bliss uses. Did they get that from Fort Bliss? I would like to know. But maybe the other CIA agents that lived through the ambush, because the two CIA um, agents that were killed in the ambush, one being a former Marine captain, John Black, and the other being a drone operator, Richard Johnston. So, Leitner Johnston. So, um, yeah, I want to make sure that I can see all the comments. Um, and I just got a message from somebody. Good, I can see. And I know I'm on late again. It can't be helped because of everything that's moving forward here. And I just want to make sure that I get this out to you from, promises that we've made to earn your respect, to earn your trust, to absolutely keep you informed in this case, because this case is so big. It is so big, and it is absolutely a national security issue. It's a national security importance. And so we want to be sure that we come on every day to keep you informed, because there's new information every day. Uh, y- Yesterday, I broke it very late at night, early in the morning, even, that you had Um, Roberto, oh, what is it? Roberto Fierro Duarte, That's his whole name. I'll just refer to him as Roberto Fierro. He went to train at Quantico, Virginia. So who is he? He's Fiscalia, right? Or he's was accused of botching the prison system that got prison guards killed. He is absolutely one of the facilitators, one of the coordinators for this whole Centinela. It's not just the tower, y'all. It is a whole network. And I wrote those things down, but I'm going to try to do them by heart because it just flows better, right? It just flows better. But it is a whole network there at the border, $1.27 billion network, and that includes the 20-story high-rise tower that is right there at the border, right there across from the Bull Ring, if you know anything about Juarez, Mexico. Um, and it overlooks Fort Bliss. And if they use, which they have in the past, and when you look at who built the whole structure with him, having training from Quantico, Virginia, and building this network, this surveillance spy network, intelligence network that can employ then the software, the Pegasus software, to intercept or listen to all of your calls, all of the uh, from judges to businesses to Fort Bliss to Fort Huachuca, which is America's military intelligence base right there at the border. They can listen to all of this, and then what they do, the tower is an AI hub. And I'm wondering if that's why they wanted that water from the cement lake. I'm just trying to, I know they're going to need a lot of water for this tower, for AI. AI requires a lot of water. And if they organize using AI all of the data, this is the biggest national security threat alert because it's already built, y'all. It's already built. They went, speed uh, in building this tower and this network along our border on the Mexico side. It is, and then who paid for it? Because Chihuahua does not have $1.27 billion to spare. They're major debt. The economy is just has been ruined, right, through all of this trafficking and cartel control and everything. Um, it is absolutely no way. There's no way unless there's foreign money and also foreign, um, I would say, hardware, right? Hardware equipment um, that was supplied to this. So, who supplied the technology? Who supplied the hardware? Who supplied the money? We need to know that, right? We need to know that. We do know that Roberto Fierro um, had a huge hand in making this all happen, along with the El Paso cartel operative and double agent Alejandro de la Vega Foster. So they made this happen. Now, what people might not know about Roberto Fierro Duarte is that he is El Chapo operative. He is a Sinaloa El Chapo operative. Okay. He is absolutely with the FTO. Okay. And to go to Quantico at the time of our son, where we know that his file was severely tampered with, okay, and whistleblowers tampered with. And we know that as soon as Nadal Baim, who is a Palestinian arms dealer, that's the father in law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado, his daughter, Layla Bugado, um, as soon as he revealed himself, because he is also a cartel operative, that has been confirmed, and he's connected to, all the car methods of transporting things, right? So, and as soon as he went into that Dollar General and ordered Richard's flyers to be removed, this is October 26, 2020. Ordered them to be removed because he was an FBI agent, right? He told the cashier he was an FBI agent, and then he said to remove the flyers. That was a demand of his because Richard was not alive, not alive. And and he went on to tell the cashier um, that Richard's remains were in Juarez, Mexico. And he is connected to the whole this whole El Paso cartel, which includes the funeral fraud scam, the group of purchase funeral homes are tied to this transnational funeral home scam, and a lot of, you know, questionable wealth, right, with it all. But of course, the Plenitude Crematoria, where you have them caught red handed, um, giving construction material for ashes to families while just letting bodies pile up and rot, and then flesh peddling them, uh, and I'll let the investigators tell us how and where we believe that our son's remains ended up at the Plenitude Crematorium in Juarez, Mexico, because they were making money off of these bodies, and that the bodies, this is a narco crematorium. A lot of these bodies show signs of torture, also harvest organ harvesting, baby harvesting, because we know from La Diabla that they were doing that and they were selling babies in the black market, um, that they were targeting pregnant women, especially like migrants, and offering them jobs or shelter or whatever. So, but I really want to get to Robert Fierro because he is confirmed to be clearly easy. It's easy to find that he is an El Chapo cartel operative. Yet, yet, as soon as Nadal Baim's, uh, and this is, from just piecing everything together, but what we allege, I should say that, um, from the fact that we know that he went and trained at Quantico, that we know that Richard's file was tampered with, that after Nadal Baim went into that Dollar General and we received the video footage of that, and we also um, recorded the cashier and her testimony, and we handed it into the FBI. And the FBI and the command went on to say he was just nobody, right? He was just nobody. When all of that happened, and I'm sure they all started wearing diapers at that time because he is so connected to the El Paso cartel, to, of course, the the cartels in Juarez, to Iran Contra, that whole pipeline, the whole Iran thing. He just tried to flee to Kuwait with $44,000. I'm wondering if he tried it again. Where is he? Um, because he's being sued right now, right, in a Western Frontier Trading, because he's a Palestinian arms dealer. He's absolutely connected to the Hart family. The Hart families are the prime suspects. Dallas Wayne Hart and the taking of our son's life. And so, he is just connected to this whole thing. This whole thing. He is a huge node in it. And so he's absolutely connected to Roberto Fierro, right? Because of this cartel connection. And here, here it is that Nadal Baim, when that happened, the command could not work fast enough. They wanted to get Richard's file then into cold case. They were working so hard to get his file into cold case. Where is that cold case? That's in Quantico. Okay? That's in Quantico. And we know Veltri, we know that what happened at Quantico was severe tampering with Richard's file. And here we have Roberto Fierro there in the administration in Chihuahua going to Quantico, Virginia. Okay? Um, that I don't think that's an accident, y'all. And we're getting training and then applying this training very poorly, or into the security system that he was building there with along with others, in Juarez, Mexico, in Chihuahua, Mexico. So it is really huge because that means that Quantico, who and I, there's so much training there. It is really the FBI Academy. It really is other training that goes there. To have credentials to get there. Who gave him those credentials, right? Was it Colin Wetton, right? Who gave Roberto Fierro credentials to go to Quantico for training? Okay, that is a huge question. So I did. There is, just to let you know, because I pulled this. Quantico is the FBI Academy. It's DEA training facility. It is the Naval Criminal Investigative Service training. It is the Marine Corps Combat Development Command. Whoever compromises Quantico gets access to federal case files, surveillance training, undercover officers' identities, and intelligence sharing protocols. Okay, there's a certain way that you share intelligence, and they get access to the flow chart of that, right? How to access our intelligence computer database, whistleblowers, agents, everything, everything in there. And of course, that led to um, the treasonous treaty between Maru Campos, the fentanyl El Chapo governor, with Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. Um, wow. Wow. Uh, and you see that they had access, not only access to cases, federal cases, um, and the database and protocols and uh, security, um, prison. Pharaoh was all about in the prisons. What they do in the prisons is interrogation. It might involve torture. Maybe that's why we got information that he threatened Javier Corral with torture. Um, did he learn that kind of that kind of training at Quantico? Um, it's just there's so many questions here, but the main question is in order to get there, you have to have credentials, and that means someone had to give him those credentials. And that's the main question because somebody was allowing the El Chapo Sinaloa cartel operative to infiltrate our Quantico uh, intelligence training um, center, right? The center of it. That is just huge. And right at the time of our son, right? Right at the time of our son, the time of the Walmart mass shooting, orchestration, the whole cover up. You have Michael Mayella still working in the El Paso FBI office. I mean, what? What? I mean, he is the the alleged shooter's brother-in-law, right? Why is he in the FBI office? Um, so it tells you that this group is smaller than what you think, right? The infiltration is smaller than what you think. And they really, you know, the more I look into this, the more I read all about this, the more I read all the articles and past interviews that were done with these very corrupt officials. You always learn a tidbit. They're, of course, doing these interviews to make them look human and not the monsters that they really are. They're really monsters. But they make these interviews or whatever like, see how good I am. No, you're rotten. You're rotten and rotten to the core, and you're causing a lot of death and destruction and chaos. But they want to be told they're good or something. I don't know, when they're absolutely stinky and rotten. Um, and the more I look into it, the more you we have come to the conclusion that they were really trying to take over Mexico, totally take over Mexico. I think they almost had it, that they almost had taking over Mexico. And like this is a coup or something. Now, that's my opinion from looking at what they were doing because they were using CIA that, uh, and I'm not saying that their eyes weren't on the United States too. I think they were. I think they wanted Mexico first for the fuel, for the pipeline, and then to maybe build up some things, of course, with the tower, but also maybe some refineries or something like that, because they're all about the fuel, right? And that's not a overreached guess because you have Alejandra de la Vega Foster, her husband Paul Foster, West Star Refinery. So, is he trying to start some refineries in Mexico and have all of that siphon fuel and the fuel from Iran come in through that pipeline with the drugs, with the human trafficking, with, the precursors to make the fentanyl, and I don't know how they make the meth. I don't know if they need the precursors for that, but I know they need precursors for the fentanyl. And yeah, so they were going to have, just a total cartel country. Just bring it down to hell, um, destroy a beautiful culture, um, and then look at, take the semblance of Christianity that turned Mexico into a beautiful culture and turned it into a cartel culture. Um, yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. It doesn't sound good, but that's what they were doing, from the evidence that we have. And this is why, going into Quantico, Virginia, and who allowed this, right? Who allowed these breaches of security? Because, many Americans, they don't know what's going on in Mexico, and the Mexicans, they don't know totally what's going on in the United States. You cannot share agencies and government institutions and expect it to go well. It's just not in respect to the constitution of both countries. Mexico wants its sovereignty, should have its sovereignty, and America wants its sovereignty and should have its sovereignty, and not to confuse it, not to intermingle it, and have this infiltration into Quantico so that they could go back and do Mexico harm and do the United States harm, because that's exactly what Roberto Fierro did. He took back his training and used it for bad. He used it to hurt people. He used it against the people of Mexico and against the people of the United States, because he absolutely helped facilitate, um, uh, absolutely cooperated to have that treasonous treaty between Mario Campos and Governor Abbott. So this is why I thought I really need to spend 2 days on this, talking about this, so that please share, 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 so that we can get the ears um, of those that are in places that do care about this. Make a very loud noise, by sharing. That's what sharing does. It really magnifies the message. And that's why it's so important. I had one person come on and say, "Well, I just found your story, your son's case, and the only thing I can do is share." And I'm like, "That's huge. That's so big, because you're magnifying the story." And so I just want to say, God bless you and thank you so much for sharing, because there's a lot of other cases besides our son's case that's connected to this, that is connected to the funeral fraud, is connected to the trafficking, is connected to the exploitation of children, is connected to these perverts that are not prosecuted because of the infiltration of our legal system, our judicial system. And then you got these perverts doing a lot of harm. I had more messages this week about that. And where are the prosecutors? And then you have other people that are being targeted, weaponized for, because they're not on the side of the cartel. So then they weaponize the tower, they weaponize the network, they weaponize the agencies and the institutions against law abiding people, against whistleblowers. And so this is exactly what happened. And this is so important. And I hope that I'm explaining it well because they'll take that training and they'll torture people, right? They'll torture people not for national security, but for to protect the cartel and its trafficking network. So yeah, this is really goes to our day-to-day lives, how we live, and where our taxpayer money goes to, and it's really important. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. Thank you so much for your prayers and your love. And Anicia, thank you for your prayers and your love too, all the time. And that just from the beginning, right? For years and years. Thank you so much for that kind of support. Um, and it really, the magnitude of this case, you think that, oh my gosh, it's 6 years. But because of the magnitude of this case and the way the infiltration is, we have done absolute miracles by getting as far as we have right now, where the Chihuahuan government is absolutely being looked at for treason. That is so huge, and that includes Alejandro de la Vega Foster, y'all. So that's right at the heart of our son's case, right at the heart, because of really your hard work, our hard work, um, the magnifying of this story, inch by inch, right? We've worked very, very hard to get where we are at. And it's because of you coming on and sharing, coming on and sharing and liking and commenting, and more people are doing that. And as more and more people are doing that, they can't target everybody, because at the beginning of this, they were targeting all the people that were supporting us. They were writing them and dissuading them from supporting us. Um, and you're like, wait a minute, why are you doing that? I mean, don't you want to find Richard? Don't you want to find Richard? It was just crazy. So uh, that has I haven't heard uh, reports of people being targeted, and so we have really been very successful and reporting the cartel, reporting the very severe cartel activities, and growing our group so that we can't be targeted like we were. And of course, filing so many criminal complaints, and things are happening that way too. We're absolutely seeing it. So we're going to continue filing over and over and over again. And it always seems to be like nothing's happening, nothing, and then it's boom, boom, everything happens at one time. So never, ever, ever give up. Never give up. Keep filing if you find yourself um, as in a situation like we are. Keep recording. Keep filing, and and just pray, because everything's in God's timing, and He is always faithful. So that is what we've have found through these 6 years, and it makes all the difference, because it's been, you know, pretty busy, pretty busy. We've been through a lot, and um, we're moving forward. We're not wading in the water. Okay, we are absolutely full speed ahead, and I'll tell you more about that a little bit later when I'm um, have all the facts right. But this Quantico is very big news. Anything else? Let me look real quick through the website just to remind. Oh yeah, the Oswaldo Rodriguez taking all that money and taking it to El Paso, spending it there. I wonder if he reported it for taxes, if he's living in El Paso. Um, yeah, so that is huge. The other thing is the second um, person in Mario Campos's administration has now resigned. So you have Cesar Hargi, who uh, ran to El Paso to hide in El Paso, and then you have this next one, the one for kidnapping. Okay, the one for I wonder if he knows a lot about Richard's case. Um, Absolutely, and then uh, yeah, the support, I put up the support on Mexican media is just hammering at Maru Campos. I mean, they're just hammering her. So we're getting a lot of support with that. So that is really good news. So, everybody, I am, just so grateful. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. And thank you so much. And please share all of our information. Thanks again.